Are you having a lot of histamine issues? Maybe you're having skin issues, digestive issues, headaches, various high histamine related problems. My name is Dr. Terranella, and in this video, we're going to look at 5 causes of histamine intolerance. We're going to look at some of the enzymes involved and how genetics play a role in those enzymes, some digestive problems that can be contributing to histamine intolerance, some detoxification problems that can contribute to it, diet, and much more. So if you're finding these videos useful and getting some value out of these videos, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to continue getting them. And check out the video disclaimer before we look at the details of the video. So in this video, we're going to look at the different causes of histamine intolerance, and we're going to look at the connection between histamine intolerance and certain genetic vulnerabilities, digestive health problems. Specifically, we're going to look at bacterial overgrowth and SIBO, and also fungal overgrowth. And we're also going to look at different detoxification pathways regarding histamine intolerance and different histamine symptoms. Hopefully this gives you a better understanding on why some people may have or experience adverse reactions to different foods or different environmental stimuli, and other people don't have these problems. So for those that don't know, histamine intolerance is a condition characterized by the inability of your body to break down or eliminate histamine in an effective way. And this leads to an accumulation or an increased abundance of histamine circulating throughout your body, which can lead to a variety of different symptoms, including things like headaches, of course, rash, skin irritation, digestive problems, even IBS types of symptoms, allergy-like symptoms, of course, things like congestion or even joint pain, in some cases even more severe, like allergic type reactions where you have systemic like hives throughout the body. So at the heart of these issues in histamine intolerance are the genetics that are influencing the efficiency of the enzymes that break down histamine. And there are, of course, various enzymes that do this, and also other enzymes that kind of overlap with the elimination of some of the similar compounds to histamine. So from a genetic standpoint, there's actually several different enzymes that seem to affect or lead to higher abundance of histamines and what's known as histamine intolerance. These are enzymes like COMT, diamine oxidase, which goes by a few different abbreviations. We also have the HNMT enzyme, and all these enzymes can be slightly polymorphic, meaning that they don't actually work as efficiently as they should. And depending on which version you get from mom and dad, will determine the ultimate outcome of how that enzyme is going to work in your body. And ultimately, that's going to affect the efficiency and how the body gets rid of the histamine that's coming in and the histamine that your body makes. So understanding your genetics behind this and your genetic makeup can actually provide a lot of insight into your susceptibility to having histamine intolerance or symptoms that mimic that. And that ultimately can give you more information about what to do with certain dietary things and also supplements. So first, let's look a little bit more at the COMT and what it does and how it's related to histamine intolerant symptoms. So COMT, I've talked about in a lot of videos, and that's because it does a lot of interesting things and causes a lot of problems when it's not working the way it should. And this enzyme is involved with the breakdown or degradation of catecholamines, such as dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine. And the key part of that name, catecholamines, is the amine part. So amines are the things that are generally going to be stimulating to the body. And histamine is also an amine. Now, this one is often not noted as a primary eliminator of histamine, but it definitely has a lot of overlap, because if you're not breaking down your other amines, catecholamines specifically, well, that just means there's more of those that are going to try and clog up some of the other histamine degradation pathways. So variations in the COMT enzyme are going to slow that enzyme down. And if you have the MET gene alteration in COMT, then you have the slower functioning COMT, and you may be a little bit more susceptible to histamine intolerance, or even just high histamine symptoms. Since it's not directly accessing histamine, wouldn't necessarily lead to histamine intolerance, but it can certainly make someone with alterations in the other enzymes a little bit worse. It's really about the overall residence time of that histamine in your body. The more genetic alterations you have in the enzymes, the more likely you are to have a higher residence time and more symptoms. So if you have a problem with your COMT enzyme, if it's homozygous or heterozygous, magnesium can definitely help that enzyme work a little more efficiently. Now, another enzyme that can be polymorphic or genetically altered is histamine N-methyltransferase. This is one of the enzymes that, when altered, is more directly responsible for histamine intolerance because it's directly acting on that histamine. The HNMT enzyme is more critical for the breakdown of histamine within the cells and within the tissues throughout your body. So if you have SNPs or genetic alterations that reduce the activity of the HNMT enzyme, it's going to give your body more resonance time with that histamine and lead to possibly more histamine-like symptoms. And there's not one supplement that you can actually take that's going to help the HNMT enzyme work. You can take SAMe, but some cases that can actually make things worse. But overall, supporting the methylation process is definitely going to help with getting rid of the histamine if you do have more of an issue with your HNMT enzyme. So as mentioned, DAO is another enzyme that breaks down histamine. This one is breaking down the histamine inside your digestive tract. And so the people with DAO SNPs actually are going to have more problems specifically with foods and possibly more digestive related symptoms. And the DAO is more responsible for extracellular histamine. So it can actually work inside the body as well, but it's mostly responsible for breaking down the histamine that's inside the gut. That could be coming from some of the things that we're going to talk about, like bacterial overgrowth and things, but mostly is associated too with the breakdown of food-associated histamine. So variations in the APB1 gene, which code for the diamine oxidase enzyme, can significantly reduce the enzyme's activity and lead to higher amounts of histamine in the body and potentially higher resonance time for that histamine. There is actually a supplement you can take for this. It's called DAO, or diamine oxidase, and that can really improve the overall food reactions that you're having if it's related to histamine intolerance and this genetic alteration. So we kind of lumped a few of them together, but basically number one would be the methylation related things, the COMT and HNMT, and then number two would be the DAO. So this video went a little bit longer, and I'm going to break it up into two separate videos. If you do have any questions about histamine intolerance as it relates to genetics and some of the specific SNPs that we covered, drop them in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer your question. Part 2 of this video, Histamine Intolerance Causes and Cures, will be out soon, and there'll be a link here.